Going behind the mic now with Marlon Martens, the voice of the Victoria Royals, westernmost team in the Canadian Hockey League. Marlon, last season, team loses in Game 7 of Round 2 of the playoffs. A heartbreaking loss, but also the furthest the club had been in the postseason, I believe, since their move to Victoria. Tell us about that series and how did last year affect the team and its presence in the marketplace?
It's actually in the franchise. Even with before when they're Chilliwack Blues, they'd never made it that far, and they've never made it to the third round. So coming off that 50-win season that they had, and they were the Scotty Munro Trophy winners as regular season champs, and as you mentioned, then to be 0.2 seconds away from going into round 3 before the Kelowna Rockets tied it, and then the Rockets won it in overtime. It was, I think, as the general manager put it, one arrow through the 7,000 hearts at once in the arena in Victoria, and definitely stung. A lot of disbelief. I'm still fielding the question, how did you deal with that, or how the response was, or can you still believe it, the 0.2? So I think it's going to go down in history and hockey lore locally here about that particular game in that instance. But they learn, they grow from it. I think the biggest thing is to realize what it takes and how hard it is, and the experience, and they're all better for it. So it's definitely something that everybody has and was able to bond with and talk about and kind of suffer through, but hope that it just makes them stronger.
How did that loss affect this year's Royals? Is it the same core of guys coming back? Perhaps tough sledding in the BC division?
They're sitting fourth in the BC division. It's a really tight division. All the teams are strong. There's so much parity. The Prince George Cougars are one of the top teams out in the West. And then Kamloops and Kelowna have really turned it up, and they're sitting a couple points up on the Victoria Royals right as we speak. The season hasn't gone as quite as expected. A bit slower start that they anticipated. They lost a few guys to camps at the start of the season. For graduation as well, guys like Alex Forsberg, 91 points out of the lineup. There's Logan Fisher, the guy who does everything that doesn't show up on the score sheet, and 20-year-old netminder. Then there was an unexpected loss as well. Big power forward, Vladimir Bobilev, who got drafted in the 5th round by the Toronto Maple Leafs, almost a point per game last year, decides to sign in the KHL. So he left the club. Joe Hicketts moves on, and he's under contract with the Detroit Red Wings and playing for the Grand Rapids Griffins, and he's exceeding at the pro level. So some huge losses for the Royals. Now, they still pretty solid on the back end. They get most of the guys back, and they have an 18-year-old netminder, Griffin Outhouse, to backstop, and he's just picking up where he left off. But the club is just, I guess, looking for more consistencies and back-to-back games, stuff like that this season. So they're just a couple games over 500, but they got a huge surprise this week. Vladimir Bobilev has returned from the KHL, now has 2 games under his belt, back with the Victoria Royals. However, they have a key injury right now in Tyler Soy, who was the most sportsmanlike player in the Western Hockey League last year. When he went out with injury, he was over point per game. But he, with Jack Walker and Bobilev, were aligned last year with the Royals and put well over 200 points up on the board. Hopefully Soy's healthier after Christmas, and they're able to get him back and have more of the team that they were hoping to have and really get rolling in the back half of the season.
Someone you just touched on there, Jack Walker, I wanted to ask about him, and Matthew Phillips, both draft picks of Canadian NHL teams. Tell us about those two guys, their impact, and how they project going forward.
Similarities, they both know how to put the puck in the net. Jack Walker is a defenseman converted forward, and he's the fastest guy I've ever seen on skates. And what trumps that is that he can actually control the puck at a high rate of speed. He's got amazing accuracy. He quarterbacks the power play, very smart player, creative, big catalyst for the Royals offense. And Matthew Phillips, the Western Hockey League Rookie of the Year. He's not the biggest guy, 5'6", 141, but he's leading the team in scoring this year, 43 points in 33 games as we speak, 23 goals. He's second in the Western Hockey League in goals. Phillips is one of the most creative players, one of the sneakiest, one of the most determined. He's not afraid to go to the greasy areas, and he can change the angle of the stick in a split second, and the angle of the puck in tight, and he'll go roof it on you, and he can deke out pretty much anybody, and he's got amazing hands, and he's proven at every level that he's played at that he can score, and he continues to do it to disbelief, I guess, of some. The Calgary Flames decide to take him in the draft, and that's his hometown, so it was even a bigger thrill for Matthew Phillips, and he's always got a big smile on his face, and couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Well, great to hear about that, and we'll see if the Royals can pick it up as the season goes on. Best of luck to you the rest of this year and the team. Marlon, thanks for this.
Anytime, Patrick.
That's Marlon Martens, the voice of the Victoria Royals, joining us at the intermission. You're listening to McDonald Auto Group Screaming Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.